fans just checking in after a big win, exciting win. Let's keep the ball rolling. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. Birmingham, you've been awesome.
Hey, when you got a defense, you can talk that shit. Them so intimidating, yo.
What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the 8th edition of the USFL Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of USFL News Hub, and on this week's show, we got a Week 2 USFL recap, we got Week 3 picks, and so much more. Thanks for joining the show. Plus, we talk about a little bit of that News Hub fantasy. Of course, we got our game picks and all that kind of stuff as well. So if you like football, alternative football, then make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. We got to get 50 likes. I want 50 likes for this episode of the USFL Week in Review, our 8th edition of the program. So you want to be part of the show, it's real simple. Email podcast@USFL News Hub with your thoughts or record an MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show. Leave a voicemail. Here's the new number. Direct to this podcast, 888-430-7692, extension 5. One of our fans out there suggested, make sure you have a phone call for each individual podcast so it's not confusing. So there you go. 888-430-7692, extension 5 to contact the USFL Week in Review podcast. Remember, you could get this podcast anywhere: Stitcher, Audible, Player FM, Amazon, Google Podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Make sure you smash that. Give us a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate that. And we are live, USFL Week in Review, every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern on the YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Or not Twitch, not doing Twitch at all. So what's up, everybody? Thanks for joining the show. This week's scores. Let's start with that first before we get into the news this week. The Panthers. So we got a mixed bag of games this week. The Maulers Stars game was good. Stallions Gamblers was good. The game of the week, I was like, yo, this is the game of the week. The Breakers versus the Bandits was not even close. It was a dud because the Breakers are legit. I think if the Breakers can go 3-0, they're legitimate, could go undefeated. Like, their defensive line just wrecks anybody's offensive line whatsoever. The Stars looked like they bounced back. The Maulers are looking better too. Stallions are a good team, and the Gamblers are playing better, and the Generals, meh, and Panthers, I think, are going to be kind of at the bottom of the list there. We'll see how this week's goes. So you got the Panthers 6, Generals 10, Maulers 23, Stars 30. Our man Brian Scott looked good. Stallions 33, Gamblers 28, and the Breakers 34-3 over my Bandits. No, I was so surprised by that score. But the problem is, it is spring football, and all of this stuff is new. All these players are new. You're not sure what you're going to get. We go through my DFS picks and all this other kind of stuff. So it's just to be kind of expected to that kind of be part of what you get with these leagues, and we'll just have to go that. So we're going to shoot through the news this week. You probably watched the games. We got our power rankings. We got Mike Mitchell has a tidbit on ratings. We'll get to that in the social media part of the show. Without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the USFL, all right? First of all, Panthers tight end, prayers to him. Joey Magnifico was carted off the field after a lower body injury. This was the first kind of injury we saw this. It was another tough weekend for the Michigan Panthers. Not only did they suffer a second consecutive loss, but they also suffered a second week of losing a player to a long-term injury. Last week, the Panthers lost their starting safety, Warren Saba. This week, it was tight end Joey Magnifico. Magnifico was blocking on a kick return and appeared to be rolled up on. While on the field, he would be carted off and even had his family down on the field with him. Benefica injury continues to deplete an already haggard receiving corps. Benefica joins Connor Davis, Jeff Badette, and wide receiver Joe Walker on the Panthers' skill players who are dealing with injuries. Benefica was able to tweet out a message, which I'm sure was a welcome sign for Panthers fans. Quote, "Thank you, everybody, for all the prayers. Praise him when it's good. Praise him when it's bad. God's got me." Amen, brother. Amen, Joey. I'm with you there. Benefico joins the USFL by way of Memphis, graduating in 2020 after spending 2 years off the NFL and CFL radar with a cup of tea during the Bills minicamp. Benefico was drafted in the 34th round of the 2022 USFL draft by the Panthers and has played in both games, catching one pass for a -3 yards. Most recently, Benefico was named head coach at St. Benedict High School in Memphis, Tennessee, where he took a leave of absence to play for the Panthers. That's cool. It is unclear the extent of Beneficio's injury. However, one thing is clear. All of us at XFL, USFL, CFL News Hub are praying for him and his family and hopes to recover quickly. Amen. So we wish Joey nothing but the best. Hopefully it's not a long-term thing and he can maybe get back on the field this season or potentially next. We have Matt Lyons' power rankings for week 2. We wrapped up week 2 of the USFL season. The quality of football throughout the league has taken steps in the right direction. Players and coaches appear to be getting more comfortable after their first month together, but there's still plenty of cleanup for nearly every team heading into week 3. Totally agree about that. So here is his power rankings for the week. Let me know what you think in the comments. Number 1, New Orleans Breakers. Last week, number 2, the Breakers passing attack is what we thought it was. New Orleans might have the most complete team in the USFL. Quarterback Kyle Slaughter bounced back in a big way after disappointing week 1, and the Breakers defense has established itself as the best in the league. And in one of the most highly anticipated games of week 2, the Breakers blew out Tampa Bay Bandits, with Slaughter competing 25 of 39, 266 yards, 2 touchdowns, and rushed for 1 yard, 1 touchdown. New Orleans running backs had a decent day. Jordan Ellis, 21 carries, 64 yards. TJ Logan, 10 times for 43 yards and a touchdown, also hauling in 3 receptions for 29. Breakers' leading receiver would be Jonathan Adams, who had a sick catch and who would total 5 receptions for 95 yards. The team's second 2 receiving touchdowns came from Johnny Dixon and Sean Poindexter. And defensively, Devin Bellamy and the Breakers defense picked up where they left off in week 1 and continued to wreak havoc. While Bellamy didn't have quite as big game as last week, the rest of the defense sure did. Bellamy, along with defensive tackles Kimalo Toganga and Connor Christian, totaled 4 sacks, with cornerbacks Neville Clark and Mike Stevens adding 2 interceptions on the day. The Breakers currently look like the USFL's team to beat, and they're set to face Jamar Smith and the hot Birmingham Stallions in week 3. They moved that game on the schedule, and now that is the primetime game Saturday night at 8. It was supposed to be a Sunday game. Philadelphia Stars are number 2, led by Brian Scott, take over the second-ranked spot after their win. They were last week at 3. Went over the Pittsburgh Maulers, who also looked better. Philly showed why they were so high on the team coming into the season. Scott looked like an early MVP candidate. Despite facing a stout Maulers defense, ended the game with 26 of 36 passing, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 INT, also taking 6 carries for 16 yards and a touchdown. Leading receiver was Maurice Alexander and Jordan Sewell. Alexander ended the game with 8 catches for 87 yards, 2 TDs. Sewell finished 6 for 72. DeAndre Overton also found end zone, hauling in 3 receptions, 42 yards, and a touchdown for the day. Defensively, the Stars had 2 interceptions, one from safety Amar Dixon, other coming from cornerback Channing Stribbing. So they played well. Birmingham Stallions move up from 4 to number 3 this week. They after their big win over Houston Gamblerstown, took over the 3rd-ranked spot. It was a defensive start on Saturday's game, with each defense scoring a touchdown in the first quarter. Jamar Smith and the offense turned things around the second quarter, put on a show in the second half, making the highest-scored game of the weekend. Smith ended the game 20 of 30, 229 yards, 2 TDs, and an interception, also taking 8 carries for 34 yards. C.J. Marble had a solid day and in the game with 16 carries, 76 yards of a touchdown, and catch 2 passes for 20. The Stallions' leading receiver, Marlon Williams and Osiris Mitchell, with Williams bringing in 3 catches for 88 and a touchdown. Mitchell, 3 for 48 and a touchdown as well. Defensively, Birmingham recorded 3 interceptions and 2 sacks on the day. Look, they look well. Dropping from 1 to 4, Tampa Bay Bandits. I I was so disappointed in this game. I thought this was going to be a great game. They fell because their offense couldn't get anything going against the Nolans Breakers, and they just looked gassed relatively early in the matchup. Rough day for Jordan Ta'amu, ended the day completing 8 of 18, 62 yards and 1 interception, also rushing 4 times for 45 yards. Backup Brady White made an appearance, didn't have any more success in the day of 3 of 10, 34 yards and 1 interception. B.J. Edmonds, the running back, had a rough day on the ground, ending with 14 carries for 39 yards. Edmonds also led the team in receiving with only 3 catches for 29 yards, so you can see that didn't go well. Houston Gamblers move up from 6 to 5. They take the 5th-ranked spot after losing a hall-fought game against Birmingham. The Gallows continue to prove doubters wrong despite coming up short in their game with the Stallions, showing much to be excited about over the first 2 weeks of the season. They're definitely got things going. Despite Clayton Thorson having another below-average day through the air, he ended the game with 13 of 27, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Also rushed 16 times for 3 yards, leading the air attack. Houston's were Ty Simmons, Anthony Ratliff Williams, and Isaiah Zuber. Simmons finished the game 2 of 54 for a touchdown. Zuber 2 of 29 and a touchdown. Ratliff Williams led the team with receptions, ending the day with 5 catches for 40. Houston's came up big on the defensive side of things. Chris Odom and cornerback Will Likely each forcing a fumble. Odom recorded a sack and Likely tackled an interception, which was returned for a touchdown. Pittsburgh Maulers, they were 8 at the bottom. They moved up to number 6. Contrary to the week 1, the Maulers started to figure things out in week 2 against the Stars. Despite losing the game, the team looked far more competitive. Josh Love played more competitive game than last week. Ended the day 21 of 39, 236 yards, 2 TDs, 2 picks. Running backs Garrett Gresnick and Mondre London got things going on the ground game. Those 2 running backs I thought would be awesome. 18 for 77 yards for Groshik, also hauling 1 for 5. London 10 times 43 yards and bringing 2 receptions for 11. Leading receivers Bailey Gaither, 7 catches, 117 yards and a touchdown. Tight end Hunter Thedford also found the end zone, 2 catches for 10 and a TD. Defensively, the Maulers forced 3 fumbles, recovering 2 of them, so they look better. The Maulers are looking pretty decent. The New Jersey Generals, 5 last week, jumped down to 7. They're coming off of the win against Michigan Panthers, but the game wasn't a pretty one. 0 points scored in the entire second half. While their defense played well, the offense had its moments. If the lack of offense production continues over the coming weeks, question regarding the Generals' 2-quarterback system might arise. Remember, they've got Luis Perez. He ended having 13 of 19, 97 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Johnson, 5 of 6, 48 yards, rushed 10 times for 27. The league's rusher, Darius Victor, also finished the game 11 carries, 40 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Darius Shepard led the air attack. He hauled in 5 catches for 58 yards. Defensively solid game, but again, the 2-quarterback system not looking good. Michigan Panthers with the number 1 overall pick, coming off a tough loss to the New Jersey Generals. However, the Generals are ranked 7th. Panthers. Defense played well, but poor play at the quarterback. Shea Patterson is what led the team to their 2nd straight loss. Patterson struggled through the game, and then the day 14 of 29, 124 yards, rushed 3 for 6. More than half of Patterson's passing yards came on the game's final drive. Leading the air attack was tight end Marcus Paul. You just got the drift there, just not playing well at all. So here is the latest rankings one last time. I believe I'm with this one 100% for Matt Lyons. Number 1, Nolans Breakers from 2 to 1. Philadelphia Stars, I think these are the 2 top teams, and we knew the Stars would be good. They proved it. They're last week 3. They're at 2. Birmingham Stallions looking strong, and they should be. They're the home team. Last week 4. Now they're up to 3. They're looking like the team. Bandits, I'm a little concerned about. They need to bounce back this week. They were number 1. They're down to 4. Gamblers moved up 1 spot. They're still kind of but looking better. They're at number 5. Pittsburgh Maulers, they were all at the bottom. They definitely showed out against a good Philadelphia Stars team. Pittsburgh moves up to 6. And then New Jersey Generals, they were at 5. They dropped all the way down to 7. And Michigan Panthers were 7. And now they are at 8. They had the number 1 overall pick. They had to consider the biggest name of the coaches. and they're in last place. But hey, anything can happen in this spring football league. A team can get hot, but right now the Breakers are looking good, and you got to stay tuned for that Saturday night 8:00 game between. We'll get into that later in the show. Between the New Orleans Breakers and I believe it is the Birmingham Stallions. Is that correct? That is the primetime game. We'll have to find out. Could there be trouble brewing for the Panthers? Did you see this? Chase DeMora and Kavion Walker feuding during the Panthers Gamblers game. Week 1 didn't go well for the Panthers on and off the field. While there were many things excited, the Panthers got a little bit of extra unwanted attention due to a fight between Kavion Walker and TikTok star Chase DeMora, who I don't know what his stats have been. I'm not sure he's been doing anything that great on the team. We'll have to see. I didn't see him. He's not on the New Orleans Breakers, and their team is not very good. So I don't know. The Panthers opened the season with a pretty pitiful first half showing against the Gamblers during their week 1 debut, but despite poor play and on the field, people were more curious about the interactions between DeMora and Walker. DeMora may be one to garner more attention for himself than he would like. The Panthers defensive end comes by way of the 2021 Spring League, may be more known for his social media and reality TV antics than, unfortunately, his play on the football field. On that Saturday, he really didn't create much of an impact on the field and oftentimes looked as he was playing too high against the Gamblers' offensive line. Overall, he finished Sunday with 1 tackle and was more known for his scuffle with Walker and his eccentric backplate than his play on the field. Kavion Walker may be the exact opposite of DeMora's appearance-wise and has a decent amount of pro experience. 6'2", 280 linebacker, defensive lineman, 280-pound lineman, has been in 3 NFL camps and was the XFL sack leader in 2020 for the New York Guardians. On Sunday, he also had 5 tackles, including 2 stuffs on 3rd down. So clearly, it was the better play. Ultimately, it did not seem like the scuffle between Walker and DeMora motivated defensive at all, as the Panthers did not allow only 10 points total, including a shutout in the second half. Either way, let's hope things change. Didn't really see anything of them two getting into it. And I don't know if the TV show kind of covered this a little bit, but it seems like all things are well. It was just kind of a fracas. But yeah, DeMora did not really impress anything in the last 2 weeks with his play on the field. This was from our own Andrew Murray talking about Birmingham's Hub City capabilities. So the inaugural USFL season kicked off on April 16th to the tune of 17,500 attendees and over 3 million TV viewers on an average combined from Fox and NBC networks. It was the return of spring football in a respectable sized stadium, setting with crowds since the XFL played matches in March of 2020. It marked a notable return for a Birmingham professional team and another notch in the belt for spring football as players in pigskin economics. Birmingham, Alabama was designated as the hub city. It's certainly a unique choice considering the population is only 212,000 in 2019 and is approximately and proximity as an air travel destination. Birmingham hosts a respectable sized airport, but nowhere near the scope of other venues that make more accessible and cheaper travel accommodations. It's quaint enough to have its own charm as suburban threshold, but does not necessarily an overwhelming selection for the average person to spend a getaway weekend. For the casual viewer tuning into the game, there is also the confusion to where exactly these teams are playing. The average viewer most likely expects when the Tampa Bay Bandits are away against the New Orleans Breakers that logically one would be viewing a game in New Orleans. Early returns suggest finding local support for outside teams will be minimal. The Stallions are the only team that possesses a true home field advantage and perhaps the only one with any local crowd support in the league. This is true. What can be found is that this hub city meant to cradle the USFL extends past just a mystifying concept to a national audience. Attracting an in-person audience is a grassroots issue. Birmingham, Alabama inevitably was going to possess challenges of not being a sprawling metropolis nor an easy-to-access air travel destination. To reach beyond these Foreseen limitations are potential extenuating circumstances that logistically limit the USFL's ability to attract not only municipal visitors, but the local populace as well. There are problems with this city, and the air travel thing, just trying to get out there, was a problem. And what are they going to do if there's a hub going on, and let's say the Pittsburgh Maulers are playing home games in Pittsburgh, which is something that executives in the USFL had mentioned. That's going to be expensive to fly them out there and back. You're talking 3 or 4 times the cost of a ticket to then fly. They're going to drive them to Atlanta. Legion Field casts its shadow. Protective Stadium is a shiny new MacGuffin in town, having opened in October 2021. With any new community fixture means that significant funds were devoted to its construction. Simultaneously, this means that those finances were pulled from other projects that some supporters believe were more deserving. In this instance, it's Birmingham's previous football mecca, Legion Field. There is some sentiment in Birmingham that city funds should be devoted towards revitalizing and maintaining Legion Field and the area surrounding the stadium. Instead, car rental tax funds were injected into the Protective Stadium project, leaving the Legion Field in need of repairs. This also has created fear for what many lead to inevitable end to Legion. Several Birmingham individuals he spoke with indicated that this has left some citizens disillusioned with the idea of supporting operations within the new venue. Nostalgia for a still standing iconic venue may be one cause for local slow acceptance to Protective. I don't care about that stuff, man. I just want to play in a nice new stadium. But I could see that. In February, the USFL announced that it would hold its inaugural playoffs in Canton, Ohio on June 25th and July 3rd. However, this announcement came after they attempted to use Legion Field for the same purpose. The problem was that the stadium would be occupied for the World Games set to kick off in July and required adequate time to prepare the facility. This slight snafu became potentially rectified with the relocation to the Canton venue, and I'm all for that. I'm driving to that one. That's easy. There is other complicating factor caused by the World Games that could impact foot traffic into Protective. Because of the necessity to revamp amenities and accommodations for the games, the city of Birmingham government required many roads to close and small businesses to relocate as to allow for construction around the city. This includes the closure of sidewalks, most visibly in the downtown area and around the stadium. Simply walking to Protective required maneuvering around chain link fences and dirt patches, less than ideal for pedestrians. It was evident on opening night when the Birmingham Stallions comeback versus the New Jersey Generals that the immediate vicinity surrounding the stadium was not adequately prepared to accommodate throngs of attendees. Hungry customers were turned back at various establishments due to reaching capacity and were forced to seek nourishment elsewhere. The lack of options in the nearby area created a missed opportunity for the city to cash in on the drastic influx of potential income, and it can no doubt be attributed to its lack of services available. The weather, which is something to keep an eye on when it comes to the state of Birmingham's hub city. On opening weekend, concessions were made that the doom and gloom weather forecast and Easter Sunday heavily impacted crowds coming out in full force. These could be observed as isolated instances that affected one weekend of play, but the weather may not be one-off phenomenon. Birmingham regularly experiences high humidity levels and maintains a RIP candidate for high precipitation and lightning storms. Wet and potentially hazardous conditions understandably deter pedestrians from even stepping outside. As one woman working in a hotel he stayed at said, these events essentially shut down the city. On top of that, the ticket price does not inspire an audience to face Mother Nature in the interest of getting their money's worth. $10 for an all-day pass is an excellent idea to attract viewers, but it is an investment that is so low cost to the point where deciding not to appear because of an ominous forecast does not include substantial loss. One can effectively eat the minor fees and come another day. That's true there. A doomed establishment could be eradicated. The potential risks involved with scheduling around erratic microclimate. Even the Spring League was hosted indoors, first in San Antonio in 2020, then partially in Indianapolis for the Northern Division teams in 2021. Again, though, these are deliberate spending maneuvers by Fox in order to cushion the financial setback the league could face if operations don't go according to plan. It's one thing to host 6 or 10 matches in a season as a single host. It's another when faced with the daunting proposition of essentially betting against Mother Nature for all 40 games played in 10 consecutive weeks with the hopes of experiencing minimal interference. An irregular schedule created in anticipation of reaction to weather events can also throw off a person's attendance and television viewership. Optics are important in the state of exhibiting a new league. Crowd presence matters for television audience, players, and fans. So, it's an uphill battle. Convincing thousands of potential venue visitors to come flocking to Birmingham is a quandary considering the present obstacles. Poor weather conditions on Easter Sunday certainly played a role in limiting the USFL's opening weekend fanfare, but there are several other factors that may prevent this from being a super inhabitable stadium throughout the spring. The financial incentives for Fox to choose Birmingham as its sub-city are on full display, with those incentives coming risk of how other logistical nuances can interfere in exhibiting their product locally and nationally. Ultimately, these cost-cutting procedures may cost the league butts in the seats and an authentic relationship in the Magic City. I have some concerns. The biggest thing is how is the future going to look? If getting to the city is difficult flying-wise, when the Pittsburgh Maulers are playing some other team and you have an away game, how is that going to, just the travel costs alone is going to be a problem to flying out. Like the long-term play for this stuff. And Pittsburgh teams flying in to Birmingham to play. Now, granted, it's only once, but if two of your teams, let's say you're lucky, in New Jersey, no, let's say that's not going to happen. Let's say Pittsburgh and Michigan, or Pittsburgh and New Orleans are your two teams that wind up playing their home games. They're going to constantly have to fly in to Birmingham, and that's going to be expensive. So as much as I love Birmingham and I want to go to there and check it out, as much as an asset to the USFL, it can also be a hindrance. All right, we'll be back with more of my picks right after this. Stay tuned, my friends.
Coming up today on the Markcast. Yeah, we are moving to Texas. We have Danny busy Instagramming from downtown Dallas. The Rock is jet setting to Texas. We are packing up the XFL and we are hitting the road. Huge implications. Is this the doomsday scenario hub season of the XFL? Are we setting up businesses there? Is that going to be the home base for operations? We have a longtime friend of the show, your friend and mine, Greg Parks from XFLboard.com, stopping by.
It just doesn't sound good, and it gives the impression, right or wrong, that financially the league is not willing to go as far as it needs to make this league successful.
And then we still have lots of USFL stuff to talk about. Remember that big lawsuit that was pending, that was threatening the shutdown of the season? Whatever happened with that? Well, it kind of got buried in the news the Thursday before the USFL kickoff last weekend. So luckily we have Michael Cohen, trademark and IP lawyer, stopping by to fill us in on all that.
When you go through discovery, you do depositions, you do interrogatories and all of that. New evidence might come to light that might contradict some of this stuff.
We are also joined by Pat Ruffino of XFL and USFL News Hub. We're talking all the USFL Week 1 news coming out. We got Chipgate, Pizzagate, the new kicking balls for the USFL. Talking all that stuff and previewing Week 2.
I'm not an XFL hater because the thing is when you hate on these leagues, you're not hating on Daryl Johnson and Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia. You're hating on Luis Perez. You're hating on John Wolford. You're hating on these players who this is going to make or break their lives.
And then we got your CFL love as always. We have Jagarrett Davis, courtesy of the Toronto Argonauts, joining us.
Sports football leagues besides the NFL, y'all got to capitalize on that opportunity because, if you don't, you're going to get left behind. So you don't want to go from second to last. And you're an afterthought. Once you're an afterthought, you base your history. And the CFL has been around too long and too big of an opportunity for them to maximize it, for them not to do so.
Should be a loaded show. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, my friends, we are back. Let's go through some scores here. All right, let's see how I did. I had New Jersey beating the Michigan Panthers. It was 6-10. I had 13-17. Won that game. Pittsburgh Maulers, Philadelphia Stars had the Stars winning. I was correct on that, 23-30. That was a lot more scoring than I thought. Pittsburgh Maulers balled out and started scoring some points. That's something to keep an eye on. The Birmingham Stallions against the Gamblers. I picked that one 28-10. Gamblers scored more points. And this is the one that I got wrong. New Orleans Breakers, 34-3. I had 14-17 Tampa Bay. I thought Tampa Bay was a lot better. Clearly, New Orleans Breakers is the team to beat. So what are we going on for week number 2? First game, Tampa Bay Bandits against your Houston Gamblers. I have that bounce back. Both teams are playing well, will play well in this game, but I think Tampa Bay bounces back. It's 21-14 in this game. Game 2, this is the big game. Birmingham, 2-0. New Orleans, 2-0. Who's going to win this game? I think New Orleans is the team. 24-10 over Birmingham. I think New Orleans takes control. I think they're the team. If they can win this game, I think New Orleans could go undefeated. I really do. I think if they dominate this one, I think they're going to be looking good. Pittsburgh Maulers, and do you think anybody in New Orleans cares? That's the problem. Pittsburgh Maulers, Michigan Panthers. I think Michigan wins. Even though they're at the bottom of the list, I think Michigan turns it around. Though I am a little concerned about this one. I think Pittsburgh could win this one. I'm kind of like meh, but I'm hoping Jeff Fisher, Shea Patterson get their act together and they ball out and they win against the Maulers. New Jersey General Stars, Philadelphia Stars. That's one of my top teams. 24-17 over the New Jersey Generals. So where I got the Bandits beating Houston, New Orleans beating Birmingham. The Michigan Pitt game, I could go either way. Pittsburgh could actually destroy. If Michigan loses this game bad to Pittsburgh, that's it. They are not going to go 500. New Jersey over Philadelphia, I got the Stars winning that one as well. My DFS picks from this past week did not go well either. Jordan Tamu is my starting quarterback, as did 65% of the people drafted him. Only got me 5 points. TJ Logan was a good pick. 81% picked him, 17 points. Osiris Mitchell, 19% picked him. He got 13 points. Satterfield, a dud, 1 point. Darnell Holland, 1 point. That was a bust. Lenore Jr., 6 points. That was kind of a bust. Breakers defense, take Breakers defense all the way, 17 points. The top team in this game, he got 101. He got Brian Scott with 31 points. Williams, 70% started rate. He only got 9. Bolden Jr., 63%, got him 10. Lenore, who I also started as well, got 6. Logan Jr., who I also started, got him 17. CJ Marvell, he only 5% started him, and he got 17 points, and the Stars defense got 8. So that's kind of gives you an idea of where theirs picked. Now, what you want to know is my picks for this week. Let's see here. Here are my picks for this week. And they didn't really have many games out there to kind of pick just yet. There was like 3 that you got to pick on DraftKings. This is who I got for this week. So I got Brian Scott all the way. I avoided players playing against the New Orleans Breakers. Anybody who played against the New Orleans Breakers, I'm not having them go against them because I think the Breakers are legit. Brian Scott, he'll be my guy this week. TJ Logan has been great, New Orleans player. He was get the start. Alexander had a great week. He had a great first game. Philadelphia, working with Brian Scott, you got that connection there. Michigan, Lenore Jr. has been their best player. Hopefully, I think they'll score more points this week. Tampa Bay, B.J. Edmonds, going to get him going. And Gaither also from Pitt, because I feel like Pitt is finally scoring supports. And then, of course, Breakers defense every week. I think Brian Scott, Breakers defense every week, or Slaughter. Those are your guys that you play. Let me know what you think in the comments as far as my picks and your DFS picks. But so far, it's been it's 0 for 2. What can I say? Because the variables are just too high and there's no consistency yet. If you're going to get into these games, you might want to wait till week 4, but then the season's like half over by that point. So just jump in, just don't spend a lot of money, you degenerate gamblers out there, and you'll be okay. All right, let's get to our social media stuff. What's up, everybody in the chat? Stock Speed Texas Stallions looking good as well as Breakers, of course, team to beat. That's going to be a good game. I hope they bring that game. I was afraid that they were going to have a Friday game. I'm going to a friend's wedding on Friday, and I was like, oh, I'm going to miss the game. But no, Saturday night, I'll be watching that game. My wife should be quite aware of that, especially because that will be the game of the week. So we'll be hanging out there because she's got to get up early. She is running a half marathon the next day. So I will be up watching that game as well. She'll have to go to bed early. So anyway, so I'm excited. I'm just excited to have spring football and talk spring football. Who knows in the end what are these leagues going to do, if they're going to merge, whatever. But I'm just here for the ride. And I'm really here just to learn about the players and have fun talking about it. Act my age. Okay, I think the league is maneuvering as expected. Level of play is improving week over week. I'd agree with that. We won't see what the level of play really looks like until week 5. I'm with you there. I thought by week 3 or 4 or 5, then they should be firing all cylinders. By then, we should see how things are clicking. It happened with the XFL 1.0 era, that the game played kind of sunk, and then things started getting better towards the end of the season. It's still sloppy play. You only had 3 weeks to practice. The league should learn its lesson, and next week should extend that to at least 2 more weeks to get these players in. We'll see what happens. He said Stallions get to ride the home fans' excitement, but that's a good thing. If the season ends, the Birmingham fan base solidified. That's a good start for non-hub play next year. We hope. Stock says Gamblers got, I think Thompson as a running back is really good. That's the only bright spot with them. Yes, that is true. Jared, Maulers came back because Brian Scott fumbled and gave the Maulers some easy points. True that. Very true. Chris says, look, Nolan's going to eat it up. I think so. Bellamy had 4 sacks already. Wow. Yeah, he's been looking great. He is a beast, said Soxby. Said Greg says, why didn't they put the hub in New York City? Because it's too expensive. You kidding me? New York is too expensive. Chris says, I love watching the defense more than the offense. Next hub is Pittsburgh, I think, for USFL. St. Louis hub and XFL, Kansas City. Well, we think Dallas is going to be the hub for the XFL, and they're going to play their games in they're going to practice and train in Dallas and play their games in home stadiums. That's something that this USFL needs to really consider. And the USFL this season could actually do that. They could be like, hey, let's contact Pittsburgh. Can we get a game in there, towards the end of the season, and send the 2 teams out to play home games? You got to be agile. It's not in the budget. That would get fans pumped to see some games, but that's probably not going to happen. I think they're just going to stick with the plan. Jared says the city is way out. Chris, I'm not going to any USFL game. The city is way out of my way. When they go to Tampa some year, I'll attend. I'm with you there. Greg says, how about putting the hub in Pittsburgh again? I don't think there's going to be a hub anywhere. They're there, Birmingham, for 3 years. I would be surprised if all 8 of these any one of these teams finds a home next year. I think they're all be playing. I think best bet is they may play a game or 2 in their home location. That's because the XFL forced their hand. We'll get to Mike G's statement in a second. Let's get to social media stuff with you're talking about this. So Mike Mitchell put this out there. Let's go on the Twitter as we wrap up things here. Friday night's USFL game on the USA Network between the New Jersey General and Michigan Panthers averaged 364,000 viewers, down from last week's 771,000 showing on USA. The game scored a .07 for that all-important 18-49 demo and was ranked 72 out of 150 cable telecasts. USA Network is a good network. USFL USA is a good network. So to get that kind of numbers, there are rumblings out there that the powers that be are not happy with some of the numbers that are coming in this week. Mike Mitchell will have a full report. He is working on trying to get those numbers. When the numbers are great, everybody's like, hey, yeah, let's share the numbers. Hey, look at this. When the numbers are not so great, they keep quiet and make it harder to find. So that's why we don't have a full recap today, but Mike Mitchell is working on that as well. Let's go to the YouTube with the comments on there. There we go. Chris, who is in the chat room, says, I hope the Michigan Panthers take him on. Oh, talking about, yeah, I don't know. Did you see the United in Football where coach from Pittsburgh, Kirby, talked about that? It's calling it all BS. So I guess that puts that story to a rest. I don't think he's coming back in the USFL. He should have taken the offer with Fan Control Football League. That would have been great. Did you see Brian Scott mention making something out of chicken salad during the game? It was freaking hilarious. That's good stuff. Zareth said, I'm in Houston, Texas, was able to be there this past weekend. Me and my family really enjoyed it. That is awesome. Zethri, I'm glad that you were able to get out there and enjoy the games. I would love to be in attendance as well. Michael said, I love the opening weekend for the USFL. Hopefully the attendance will get better. It didn't look like it this week. Gabe says, bias pick, LOL. Of course it's a bias pick. Star Wars, well, not a nice name. Attendance was way more for that 17,500 stadium. Well, it's 47,000, and it was nearly full. I'd say at least 35,000. Maybe the 70 was tickets sold, and they're not counting the kids who got in for free. Interesting take. I thought about that too. I was like, are you counting the kids that got in for free or tickets sold? So that's a good point. I could ask, but I don't know if they'll tell me. The Panthers can't keep losing because Jeff Fisher has to end the season at 500 somehow. Yes, poor Jeff Fisher. I mean, he was the guy that I was rooting for the most to kind of like win it all, to just put that thing to rest. That's what I was hoping. Hey, we got a phone call I want to get to, but I don't think I set it up here. Hold on.
Hi, I'm calling from Eastern Massachusetts. I live not far from Gillette Stadium, and I've always been a big supporter of spring football.
Here we go.
Hey, this is James Messner calling in. This is for the USFL News Hub show. Quick suggestion, number one, separate phone line for the USFL and XFL call-ins, just so you don't get confused and put the one on the wrong show. I know you probably won't do that, but just a thought, throwing it out there. And number two, can you talk a little bit more about the USFL's use of the NFT stuff? Because I really haven't figured that out, and I thought they were going to advertise it more, and I noticed they were doing it on the commercials. But I don't really know, like, what is it in it for me if I purchase, like, let's say I purchase an NFT. What, so far, as you can tell, what kind of perks do you get? Do you get, like, interactions with the players? Like, can you explain what's on the website? Have they made any updates? Anyway, just two quick little things. Enjoy the podcast, and thanks.
All right, James. Perfect that timing that you asked that. So first things first, I took your suggestion, and now you have that direct phone line for all three shows, CFL News Hub, XFL News Hub, and USFL News Hub, direct line just into the show to make it a lot easier. I agree with you there. If you want to contact 888-430-7692, extension 5, not extension 3, extension 5, your direct line. Now, as far as the NFTs go, I did so. All right, let's take a step back. So, NFTs are basically digital collectibles, but the USFL wants to be able to give you more access and things, and I don't know how this is going to go. So the idea with NFTs that the USFL was thinking was like, if you have an NFT and you go to a Birmingham Stallions game, you can unlock things for your NFT. And basically, they're non-fungible token. They're digital asset, and you can get an NFT, and then they're like $600, I think, that last time I saw. And then you can do things. They could do things with the NFT, but it's like a digital collectible that goes beyond just like a collectible, and you can do things with it. Now, what they are planning doing is, I don't really know much. Now, if you go to the USFL website, we'll take it out. We'll just go to USFL because I'm a little confused as to what and I'm a tech guy and I own Fan Control Football NFT, and I get it. In the Fan Control Football world, if I could explain it there, what you do is you can get, like I have an NFT from Team 8 Oki, and so I'm a owner sort of that team, and I can call plays, and I can vote on the uniform, and I can draft the players, and then there's other things I can do with that NFT. I can go to a game and get a VIP access because I'm an NFT holder. Those are kind of the things that you can do with NFTs. Now, I did get so you can claim it's a USFL, claim your USFL fan pass. So let's take a look at the website here because it's a good question. Claim your USFL fan pass. Available while supply. Unlock your future USFL NFT drops, participate in special events, and gain league access behind the scenes. So claim your free pass. You fill out this form. Oh, we run out of fan passes. Lucky fans will receive their fan pass airdrop. And I got the fan pass airdrop. In the meantime, join our Discord. Keep up with the latest. Use fans. Visit OpenSea to purchase a fan pass on the secondary market. So it's something that like you could sell. OpenSea. Let's try USFL and see if anything comes up. Let's see. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. I need to do more research when it comes to this. So I put in for, I got the airdrop. I checked my wallet. I didn't see it, but I got an email. And so I got an email, and the email stated, we just dropped the USFL fan pass. Open your NFT wallet to reveal it now. This will allow you to claim the team token of your choice for free next week. Our team token holders will get access to USFL season 2022 playoff ticket giveaways, virtual and IRL player coach meet and greet post game. That's cool. Exclusive behind the scenes content, access to the owners lounge and the USFL Discord, where you can be the first to know of all things USFL, special events, future drops, playoff NFTs, exclusive giveaways for limited edition merchandise signed by your favorite players. So those are the kind of things you can get for. And you really have to join the Discord. I need to probably do a nice, better write-up of everything that's going on with this because and be able to explain it better because I synced my wallet up to it and I checked it and I was like, I didn't see anything in it from the USFL. So I'll have to get back to you on that one. But we did get you at least, the message. You can do your message, call us kind of thing. Let's go on to some other social media stuff, shall we? Before we talk about fantasy football. I'll tell you here. Matt says, thanks for the coverage. Love week 1. The only real concern I saw was when the mascots outnumber the fans. Might be a problem, LOL. I think by week 3, the play will be stellar as long as no one orders pizza. I think this league's future is bright. This is from Matt checking in. Appreciate Matt. Brian says, this is like, this is Russian trolls. More white players needed in the league. Somebody took the time to send me that. This is why I think, and especially why Elon Musk, I think, bought Twitter, is you notice he said authenticate. Like if you basically they want to match if because you can kind of fake accounts and whatever. And I have multiple accounts because we have multiple businesses, but tying the person to the account, I think will change the dynamic of social media. And that's really the way it needs to be. because there's all these fake accounts. This guy probably is not even real. And I have seen firsthand Russian disinformation bots on Twitter like crazy. And I think it's good for society if we can kind of clean this social media stuff out, because people think it's real. And I've seen it in discussions about CFL stuff, and somebody who has an account that's a month old and has 10,000 tweets. Dude, there's no humanly way possible that you can do that. And it's all one subject, one political figure, one kind of like thing. So to me, I will not respond, but you are a Russian bot. That's what I'll probably write. Pat Ruffino says, curious to see what the QB situation is moving forward. Talking about the Birmingham Stallions, Will Cozart receive reps due to the diversity athleticism. He's simply filling the spot for Magoo when he comes back. So the CFL, the Birmingham Stallions signed a guy, quarterback, who I believe played some time in the CFL. And Tom says, wow, just as good as the NFL watching here in Northern Canada. Just wish we would play day night games like Wednesday at 8 p.m. Yeah, maybe instead of doing the weekend. If you don't care about the fans, play a game on a Wednesday night. But they did, I mean, the Friday night, I mean, it was fun. I love football, and I love covering football, and I watched the games. Some of them were good. Some of them were not so good. I'm just very interested in the business of the league and see how things go there. For fantasy football, let's see here. Maybe get that up for you. Fantasy football added a bunch of stuff. Still not 100% bulletproof. We do have, okay, that didn't work. Let's try this one. I just forgot the password. Okay, so we're on to fantasy football. It's getting better. We got, data straight from the USFL. That's helped a lot, made things go a lot quicker. Some cool things added to fantasy football this past week is, number one, now we have, so the game data will be processed 15 minutes after the game is complete. We have the top players of the week, even though this needs to be fixed because that is not right. These are some numbers from last week and this week, so I have to see what's going on there. Shows you the top teams. So Kevin Parker, the Marcast, you guys know the Marcast. They just commercially got 81. So you can kind of see the top things. We have news from USFL News Hub on here. Mock draft join the league. Also on the players pages, like for example, if you click on Brian Scott, you get his where he played college. He's on the Philadelphia Stars, his number, height, weight, birthday, and his stats. So, and what his points that he got for the game. So you see he's got 32 points in 1 week, 12 the next. Total is 44, and you got his game stats there. So I thought that was pretty cool feature to add as well to fantasy football. So just continue making improvements every week, making things better and better, making the website better. We have full stats on USFL website. If you want to know who's like leading the league and whatever, we got all that fun stuff for you there. So I'll figure out more about this NFT stuff, and because it is kind of, it's not confusing. You just have to just jump in and you'll learn about NFTs. But yeah, I thought I saw it was like $600 for an NFT, or maybe that's what it was trying to be sold for. Who knows what the deal is there. All right, my friends, that's it for this week's show. Appreciate you guys coming on. Hey, thank you for everybody in the chat. Mike G, he said USA is not a good network. Lots of folks complain they don't have USA. Really? You don't have USA? Jared, Act My Age. Greg checking in. Clint, Chris, so much. Stock Speed Tech. Appreciate all you guys coming in, the chat, checking out. I'll get a better answer for you all with all that kind of stuff going forward. It's been a crazy busy week just trying to get the fantasy site going. So, but we have more content as coming from USFL News Hub. Make sure you smash and like and subscribe to that button. Let's get this up to 50 likes, okay? 50 likes is the goal. Remember, if you want to be part of the show, email podcast at USFL News Hub with your thoughts, or record an MP3 or leave it on your phone. 888-430-7692, extension 5. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We appreciate that, and we are live at 9 p.m. Eastern every Monday, USFL Week in Review on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. All right, my friends, God bless you all out there. Enjoy week 3. I think the league is getting better. The TV ratings, check out USFL News Hub when they get the official word on the TV ratings. We'll see how that goes as well. God bless you all out there, and I will see you all later. You know what I do that. I say that every time.